Hello and welcome to the Transition Podcast. I'm Josh. I'm currently based in Taipei.
I'm Jesse. I'm currently in Bristol in the UK.
And it's been a little while since we put out the last podcast. We wanted to fill you guys in on some of the things that have been going on. Most notably, Jess, you have been out in Taiwan here because a couple of weeks ago we played a show in Taipei's Chiang Memorial Square, which for people, if you're trying to imagine it, is kind of like the biggest open air, kind of like Trafalgar Square, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's probably, do you think it's bigger area-wise than Trafalgar Square?
Yeah, you can fit more people in it than you can in Trafalgar Square.
And we'll put pictures in the video of it, but you've got Taipei's main concert hall on one side, you've got the main theatre on the other side, and then you've got the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall kind of museum place at the other end, and then this massive square with gardens and everything. Anyway, before I talk too much, Jess, you were out here in Taiwan, which was great. I'm keen to find out and for you to tell people, what was the first thing that you did when you arrived in Taiwan this time?
The first thing I did was go to 7-Eleven actually, because the convenience store has everything. I arrived in the night, so pretty much everywhere else was shut, but 7-Eleven being 24 hours, I went there and bought a couple of my favourite snacks from Taiwan. Some, I think, cashew nuts, roasted cashew nuts, and I got some dried mango, and I think I got some papaya as well, that was great.
Well, I know as well you're not much of a plain food kind of guy, so you must have been hungry by the time you actually arrived. You actually got to Taipei, no doubt. By that time, restaurants are closed, unfortunately, but pick up the snacks that you like.
I did change planes in Hong Kong, and they do have one restaurant which, if you haven't eaten Asian food for a while, is pretty good. Yeah, I went there for some cha xiao bao.
Oh, okay, so that's a little bit sneaky. So you actually, while transferring in Hong Kong, you managed to sneak out to a proper dim sum restaurant.
That's right. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, so that would definitely beat the plain food then, and satisfy your hunger.
Yeah, we'll have to find out whether anyone else eats plain food. So you like to eat it, do you?
Well, I don't know about but I try to always eat food on the plate. Yeah. I mean, that would be interesting to find out whether listeners eat plain food. Yeah. Question: do you eat plain food? The thing is, some airlines are better than others, and obviously some lucky people in business class probably really enjoy it. But
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Although one of the things you said just then was that you ordered cha xiao bao. So that's one of the kind of pork steamed bun dishes.
Yeah, that's right.
Presumably they come in, is it like 2s or 3s? Or do you order them one at a time?
Oh, yeah, really. It would have been better if I was with more people, because I had to eat 3, I think. I think it was 3 in a basket.
Okay, yeah. I guess with these things, often it depends on the size, because sometimes they'll give you, like, I think if you order, I know this is one you like, Jess, is the liu sha bao, or sometimes they call it
I love that.
Bao.
Yeah, I love that.
It's kind of like a white steamed bun, but inside it's got a custard egg yolk filling. And obviously it's hot, so when you bite it, it kind of, well, you have to be careful not to burn yourself, but the custard kind of oozes out, and it's really good. Sometimes you have to buy them one by one.
Someone told me that it's not custard, though.
Other times, well, it's not officially English custard, obviously.
It's similar, isn't it?
That's a close description for people that have never tried it before.
Yeah, it's funny because I said that to someone from Taiwan. They said it's completely different to custard. So,
well, that is true that people in Taiwan are generally food experts. On average, most people are. That's just part of the culture. But on the topic of food, when in Taipei, because you were only here for about a week, so it was quite a whistle-stop trip. But what was the standout food that you had in Taipei that time?
I went to lots of really nice restaurants, but I mean, the nice thing about Taipei is that even the fast food-ish style restaurants are excellent as well. So I went to one with our friend Wing, who's obviously the musician who we've interviewed on the previous episode, and he took me to a restaurant that just does zhou, And it's actually a social enterprise. So they try and get people in employment who otherwise wouldn't find it easy to get a job. And their stuff was great. Their kind of rice porridge, with whatever else they put in that was brilliant for breakfast. I really, really enjoyed that.
You said Joel is, so that's kind of like a rice porridge. I think sometimes it gets translated as congee.
Yeah, congee, but that's from Hong Kong, isn't it?
But
that's the Hong Kong translation.
You can eat it for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, really, can't you? It's quite a versatile dish.
Yeah, and I think people do, don't they? They do eat it for all sorts of different meals.
All depends on the actual filling, or I say filling, the things that you add into it. Wow, so a social enterprise restaurant.
Yep.
Cooking Joel for people, and you had breakfast there. What flavour did you have?
It was just breakfast Joel, but with extra bacon and extra flavouring and some...
some of the youtiao, maybe.
Yeah, I think
little bits of...
Yeah.
Youtiao is kind of like a deep fried... Well, that's hard to describe in English as well, yeah. It's kind of like fried bread. A bit like croutons, in fact.
Yeah.
We call it Taiwanese croutons.
Yeah, that's right.
That's probably the closest description. Yeah. And then often like some spring onion on top as well.
Yep, so I really enjoyed that. That was brilliant. A nice surprise for breakfast. And with Wing, we called him the Good Food GPS, didn't we? Because he always has a good eating place up his sleeve, no matter where you are. Even if you're in the middle of the countryside in Taiwan, he'll know exactly where the best restaurant is to take you to. So, yeah, I always enjoyed going with him.
That's right, and he always knows what their speciality is as well. So you always order the right thing. So there you are, guys. That's a key. If you ever eat in Taiwan and you don't know what to eat, then either call Wing, our friend, or at least a local friend, is usually the best way to find the best dishes at the best restaurants. Good. Okay. So apart from food, obviously, you being out here was a really good chance for us to, play a gig, do music, kind of get a bit more immersed in the scene here, keep the connections strong. I guess it would be nice to talk about the gig that we played, because it was really great, actually. And we did play in Chiang Kai-shek Square a year ago, which was really fun as well. Although the difference between last year and this year was that last year it rained pretty torrentially.
Yep.
Right up until we played. So that would put a bit of a downer on the atmosphere. Whereas this time round, it was perfect blue sky. It's in this time of year, it wasn't too hot. And we were playing just as the sun was going down, so it was pretty picturesque, I have to say. It was a real pleasure to be performing in that setting.
Yeah, you're right. The setting was incredible. We were lucky in that the weather was perfect. We got to watch the sun go down. It was a beautiful still evening. You could hear the birds out and the various insects, because even in winter you've still got some of the noises there of the crickets. And yeah, got to share some new songs, play with some of our really good musician friends there. Some of the team, one of the guys called Kernan, he went with us all the way around China, and that was amazing to turn up and find that he was doing all our sound for us, because that was our biggest tour yet in the mainland China, doing 21 different cities, and he accompanied us on all of those. And
that was really funny, wasn't it? Because we got to know him a few years ago during that tour, doing, as you say, 22 cities in about 30 days, I think it was.
Yeah.
But we didn't know he was going to be there at this gig in Taipei, so we turn up and there's our friend Kernan, the sound man. It was great, especially as we hadn't met for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But then as a band, when you have a trusted sound engineer who you know is going to make it sound good, it makes so much difference.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Fills you with confidence. Yeah, because there's nothing better than finishing a performance and people in the audience saying, "Oh, that sounded really amazing." And there's nothing worse than finishing a performance and the audience are like, "Oh, I couldn't hear anything, or I couldn't hear this, that." So when having having a good sound man, it really, as a performer, it fills you with really great confidence, and it helps you to relax and actually really enjoy the show, knowing that what you play is being put out in the right way, and people are actually going to hear the right the right thing, hear something good. And actually, this show we were playing with a bass player from Taiwan who is a friend of ours called Mark Wong, and actually that was fun as well, because obviously as transition, we do get to work with different people live, and I think we've done 2 gigs previously with Mark, and this was the 3rd one that we've done together, and that was great because it felt like we gelled quite quickly. Rehearsals went really well, and then in the gig, then we were quite relaxed, feeling like he was confident with the songs. And as a drummer, I really enjoy having a live person bass player, because sometimes obviously we have an extra guitarist and then the bass is in the track, which sound wise works, but obviously having a live bass player as a drummer,
it's much more fun, isn't it?
You can you keep the rhythms, you play off each other and things. So that was fun, and it's always a privilege, I think, for us as British guys who have, we've lived in Taiwan, we've learned Chinese, we've tried to start writing songs in Chinese to the point where we've released a couple of albums, and for us it's the ability to be able to then connect, collaborate, work with and create with people across different cultures, across different nationalities. It really brings the whole connection that we have, particularly with Taiwan, to life. I mean, we've got friends from countries all over the world, and often we've had the chance to collaborate, which is a big privilege. But that, I think, this time having Mark playing bass with us was, another demonstration of that connection with Taiwan. It's not just about, we love the place, and I live here, and we often perform here, or actually it's about people, it's about relationships, it's about being able to work together and to learn from each other and our differences. So that was really special, and that made the performance, I think, unique as it were. Another funny thing was we had a TV station who were documenting the whole thing. So from pretty much from home, taking the MRT on the way to go and sound check and set up, then the TV crew were following me all the way there, and then we got there and they were filming all of us as we were sound checking and setting up, and then after we finished the gig, they waited for us to then do post-gig interviews. So the TV documentary that they were making isn't out yet, but again, we'll post the link in the kind of the description box when it does come out, and you guys can take a look. But again, that added an extra dimension, I think, we're not just playing a gig for the people here. This is all getting documented, and it's going to be shown on TV as part of a whole series about foreigners in Taiwan. So that was fun. Added another dimension to the gig.
Yeah, that's right.
Talking of performing, Jess, I don't know if do you find it's distracting if you have a cameras kind of in your face as you're performing? What do you...
I really don't mind it, because we're sharing the music in another medium. Obviously there is a bit of added pressure that everything's going to end up on the internet, but generally it's music that we want to share with people, and it's nice to know that, oh wow, yeah, this can really, because of all the new technology, get seen by anyone.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, that was, for us, that was definitely a highlight of out of the gigs that we've done this year. That was a real 2019 highlight for Transition, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
As well, we did get up to a few other things while you were here. One of which was visiting a studio which is owned and run by an artist here called David Tao Zhe. For me, that was really exciting because
that was great.
Was the first Mandarin artist that I ever heard. the first Mandarin music I ever heard was an album by David Tao called Black Tangerine. Hei Se Liu Ding.
Yeah, amazing.
Which I would highly recommend to listeners. I mean, you can find loads of his songs on YouTube or Apple Music or Spotify, wherever you get your music from.
Yeah.
But if you look up Black Tangerine, in Chinese that's Hei Se Liu Ding, then the first track on that album, that was the first Mandarin song that I ever heard. So visiting his studio was kind of going all the way back to the beginning of the Mandarin music journey, as it were. It was really cool. And we had a really good time actually with the guy Stephen who manages the studio, and he was talking about how they run it and some of the artists that he's been recording and engineering for, and he also does guitar teching for David Tao live on the live tours that he does. So yeah, that was really interesting. And I guess you, Jess, you understood a lot more about the production side of the technology they use and the hardware and the software combination and that kind of thing.
Yeah, obviously all top of the range equipment, great stuff there. And really interesting to just see people's different creative spaces, because everyone's got some good ideas as to how to try and get the best out of themselves, create an environment where you come up with good performances, that extra bit of inspiration which changes a song from being okay to being a special song. In David Tao's studio, he's a real musician's musician, isn't he?
Yeah, and in fact, another of our really good friends, Chiang, who we managed to catch up with as well. Obviously, his studio we've talked about in previous episodes, but that was great to go back and see him and hear about the artists that he's been working with. And actually, I did a recording session with him. I can't remember if I may have talked about it before, but the album that I was recording percussion for, he had just released, and as well as being the producer of it, was he was involved with lots of the promotion. So the whole kind of concept of the album, the concept of the music videos and things, was also he was in charge of it. So I thought that was kind of unusual but quite cool that you would get the producer who's the brains behind the music to then set the direction for the promotion of it, because he understands the inspiration, where it's all come from, what the story is behind the whole album, and then giving him the responsibility to try and put that across. I thought it was quite clever, although he was very tired, evidently.
Yeah.
as we could see. But that artist is called Gu Gu, which is drum, if you directly translate it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to listen to some, the tracks sound really good. They're a little bit retro sounding in some ways, but again, it's almost all live instruments, and there's a couple of, certainly the tracks that I was on, it was almost having like a funk groove to it, which in the Mandarin pop scene is unheard of. So they were looking to do something really different, which was really brave, and I think, I hope they're rewarded really, because they put so much into that album. I think it was really good. So yeah, do search for Google. That the words are drum.
Yeah.
In Chinese, and like I think any of the songs that you'll find from that album are really good, sound excellent.
Yeah. Again, we know that a little bit from behind the scenes that Chiang as a producer, he pushes boundaries, doesn't he? He's a very big details man, and he comes up with an amazing sound because of that, doesn't he? So, yeah. I think it is really good to see.
Yeah, that's great.
I remember with us, he's always putting extra microphones on, the drums and on guitars and things in a way that so many other people wouldn't do.
Absolutely. So I mean, those were the things that we squeezed into that week in Taipei, and it's not going to be long actually before I'm back in the UK, and we've got a number of dates in and around Chinese New Year in the UK. So we'll talk more about that in coming episodes. I think next time what we should do, as it's this time of year, next time what we'll look to do is to review our favorite Mandarin album of 2019 and recommendations. Maybe Jess, you can pick one and I'll pick one, and we can recommend to listeners who are interested in Mandarin music what we would say are our top two of this year of 2019. So look out for that next time. And in the meantime, guys, keep the Chinese learning going. Some of the keywords we mentioned today, starting out with cha xiao bao, the kind of pork steamed bun, and we've talked about the rice porridge called zhou. Great things to eat. And then obviously we've mentioned a couple of different artists, David Tao Zhe, and his album Black Tangerine, Hei Se Liu Ding, and then another artist called Gu Gu, who Drum, who's just released an album as well in the last month. So there we have it, and we'll look forward to recommending new music to you guys next time round.
Brilliant.
Okay, thanks guys. So we'll see you guys next time. In the meantime, you can follow the Transition Facebook page, the Transition Instagram, Transition website. We'll have all the links in the description box below. And keep the comments coming in, and any questions you've got, we'll look to answer them in the next episode. Thanks very much, guys. See you next time.
See you.